Today, we became attracted to a game that is beyond us on all levels. The human being is not the one selected to determine his destiny, or to go beyond the limits drawn to him in advance through the plans and strategies as he is involuntarily driven to them. Perhaps the most important thing that determines our destiny today is the foolishness surrounding us. This is how the Canadian Alain Deneault says in his book Mediocracy, as he says that we are surrounded by a lot of absurdity, indifference, and foolishness, which means that humanity is on its way to a dead end, when the fools took control of everything, starting from the social map to the worlds of culture, art, and sports. This is the system in which people are driven to, and they protected it intentionally or not, so it is necessary to warn against it, and to know its nature and identity. Mediocracy by Alain Deneault. In this chapter, the authors say that today's world suffers from a number of dilemmas, but the most serious one is that foolishness has reached the worlds of knowledge and experience that are supposed to be away from this virus called foolishness. This control, which was set by the fools, was a natural result of the prevalence of foolish academic thought that exists throughout all universities, research centers, and academic systems. What does this indicate? To answer this question, Alain Deneault says that the role of the educated, the wise, and the scientist no longer exists in today's world, and the place has become empty to be filled by the expert, specialist, and professor. And the issue here is not an issue of some names that have replaced each other, as our problem is not about terminologies, but on the contrary, the main problem is this tragic transformation, where the role of academic institutions has been mutilated, and universities have been dealt with as institutions that produce jobless people, and these institutions became unable to produce research and cultural projects. We stayed away from the process of knowledge, which is the process through which we discover our consciousness, and what it is capable of through the happiness of the innovative person with his work, whether he is young or old. Foolishness is the dominant title in the cognitive and scientific field to the extent that it gives the impression of the impossibility of adding anything new and useful. Bit to remember, fools took control of everything that is academic and turned knowledge and science into foolish things. The economy controls all aspects of modern societies as it is the backbone and leader of life. And we determine whether the country is strong or weak based on its economy. But today's economy is not like yesterday's economy, as everything has changed, and the world no longer needs the traditional structures that prevailed in the old worlds. Stock exchanges and financial speculation have dominated all aspects of the global economy, and it has become impossible to get out of the grip of cross-continental capital, which is controlled by unknown algorithms. The ones who control the modern economic system, especially in the large capitalist countries, are a very small group that controls everything, and they control all the events behind the curtain, and you couldn't even notice them or define the features of their jobs, and here lies the danger of the foolishness system, where everything works according to strategies that its main goal is camouflage, misleading and deceiving the world with different headlines, that appears to be merciful, but within these headlines there are totally different meanings that are full of badness, and this is the modern financial system. This level of ambiguity in the world of foolishness of economics and financial markets leads to sudden financial market crashes, in a way that citizens are too shocked to know whether their brains can work fast enough to detect these problems. Stock prices are collapsing, markets are on fire, inflation is increasing, and confusion is the dominant feeling in the foolishness system. Bit to remember, no one can predict the consequences of the economic and financial foolishness system. The foolishness system is not limited only to the scientific and cognitive aspect, or the world of economics and finance. Rather, the most dangerous thing in it is that it is an integrated structure that can reach the issues of cultures and civilizations and all the spiritual dimensions of the human being. For example, money serves the artistic aspect and uses it to express itself, as a mediating means of influencing foolishness. As money will never stay away from directing art and human heritage to the purposes that the capitalist wants. Here, The writer distinguishes between two types, which are spiritual and physical economy. The spiritual economy finds its origin in us as human beings in the terms such as the quota effect, or the instinctive investment. The physical economy consists of small business deals, accounting passion, and specific spending legislations. So what does this mean? It means that there is a real system of power, but it not translated into any constitutional form or into any institution in the public sphere. Which means that this elite system will absorb traditional forms of power, and will bring together landlords and multinational companies, and this will enable them to pursue their financial operations outside the scope of the state that is governed by the rule of law. The most dangerous thing about the foolishness system is that it has the potential to change the cultural capital into foolish things, as it forces artists to act according to the aims of the market, not to the aims of their own creative process. And if the artist does not undergo this, he won't be recognized. Bit to remember, culture and civilization in the foolishness system undergo the market economy and what is determined by the capital owners. In the last chapter, the author says that we really struggle to establish our social relations, and at the same time we find it impossible to think of ourselves as revolutionaries in an unromantic way. And yet a revolution that means bringing down institutions that destroy the common good and making them a part of the history is very urgent, even if it is just a matter of protecting any ecosystem. By doing this we can still protect it from the destruction by big industries and big money, and we will be able to oblige economic decision makers to make radical changes to the way they think about the billions of people that have been impoverished and excluded in an insane way. So what should be done under this system that has spread foolishness all over the world? Alain Deneault answers, I work tirelessly to create a synthesis of relevant cases. I meet with others in gatherings other than sectarianism and paralysis. I make fun of ideologies. I reduce using the terminologies that the propaganda wants to implement in the essence of ourselves, and I turn them into abstract topics. I go beyond the methods of control that are exercised by organizations, and then I try to create structures that resemble us. Bit to remember, trying to get out of the foolishness system requires a real revolution in all the concepts that we inherited from the modern world.